Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Wildcard weekend's come and gone, and there's a lot of good games. Not surprising, but some of these series caught me by surprise for sure. I guess we'll start in the American League. Houston and Detroit. Tarek Skubal, he shoved. There's no surprise there. Detroit took game one, but then game two, Ryan Presley comes in with the lead. Some traffic gets on the bases, and here comes Josh Hader. Uh, one of the best closers in baseball. He's had an up and down season, and sure enough, bases loaded, ball down the line. Detroit takes the lead and ends up winning this, sweeping the Houston Astros, who will not be going to the ALCS again. I mean that what it's been seven
Yes.
straight
Yep.
ALCS for them,
7.
and we'll finally get an ALCS without them. Hats off to this Tigers team. They're red hot. Obviously, still work to be done. We'll get into that a little bit later. But what was your initial reaction from this series?
Yeah, this series could have went a very different way. The Tigers ran into some trouble in game one. Jackson Jobe got put into a tough spot in the seventh. They gave up the lead, and the Tigers ended up taking it back in the eighth. And the Astros had the bases loaded with one out in the ninth. So that easily could have went the other way. Tigers ended up pulling it out, but um, for how much pitching the Tigers didn't have compared to what the Astros had. They didn't even use Yusei Kikuchi in this series. They went with Hunter Brown in game two. The pitching matchups, I leaned Houston. We both thought Houston would win, but these Tigers, man, they're a scrappy team, man. Um they're fun to watch, and it's going to be interesting to see in this division series we'll get to in a sec.
Yeah. Next up, we had Kansas City taking on the Baltimore Orioles in Baltimore. Obviously, the O's of the past two, 3 seasons now have been one of the best teams in baseball consistently. Well, they weren't able to get it done once again. Kansas City wins a tight ball game in game one and then finds a way to win a tight ball game in game two. The sticks just they didn't come for Baltimore. Um, Corbin Burns went into the ninth inning in game one and they still lost. Um, very, very discouraging outcome for this Baltimore Orioles team. Blake, off the record, over the past couple of years, I've been on that O's bandwagon.
Yep.
I'm an Angels fan. There's nothing to look forward to there. Hey, who am I going to root for the postseason? Who do I think is going to be excited to watch? I picked the O's the past 2, 3 years, and I'm really shocked at this one. Not knocking Kansas City,
Yeah.
but just Baltimore with Corbin Burns. They made the trade for Eflin. They've just been a juggernaut all year for the Royals come in and win two tight games there. Hats off to them. Now they have to go face the Yankees, which we'll get into in a second. But the Royals pitched their ass off, and their star Bobby Witt came up back-to-back nights and got them through the wild card series. But yeah, what are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, this was the most disappointing of them all. The high-powered Orioles offense just was flat. There was no life. You had that Cedric Mullins homer to kind of give him some life, but I mean, Gunnar Henderson had a chance to extend his team season. He was the last out in game two, and I mean, you alluded to it. Good pitching shuts down good offenses in the playoffs all the time. That's how it works all the time. If you go on a deep playoff run, it 9 times out of 10 it's because of great pitching. And the Royals have a deep rotation. They have Urseg at the back, who they got from the A's at the deadline. He locked down both those games. In Baltimore, yeah, it sucks. I mean, Baltimore, we've been waiting for their moment, and they've just fallen flat the last 2 3 years. So I'm not sure where you go from here. If you're the Orioles, obviously you still got a young core, um, a lot of cost controlled guys, but it's going to be an interesting offseason for sure because they got to do some. Santander's a free agent, right? So I'm not sure if they're going to be able to bring him back, but Corbin Burns is a free agent. There's lots of question marks going into the season for the Orioles, and it makes it more of a focal point when you go into the offseason getting swept for the second straight year. So it's tough.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into the National League. I guess we'll start with that Braves and Padres series because, if you guys were watching baseball yesterday, the next series we're about to talk to ended in a crazy way. But yeah, obviously the Braves, they've been banged up all year. Riley out for the season, Acuna out for the season. Albies just came back from an injury. Um, Spencer Strider in the first week of the season, gone. Chris Sale hurt, back spasms, not able to pitch in this series. It has just been trials and tribulations for this Braves squad all year, and they're unfortunately facing a red hot San Diego Padres team that came in with a lot of energy, and they competed. They got to Max Fried though in game two and took care of business, and the Padres are. We'll get there, but the Padres are looking pretty scary right now. So, um, I thought the series was going to be a little bit tighter than what it was, even with the injuries with the Braves. Not saying the Braves played bad, but thought maybe this would go three. Padres took care of business at home, and now off to those rival Dodgers. So, what are you thinking between this Braves and Padres series here?
Yeah, obviously, the news of Musgrove is just like a damper on the wild card win, right? Obviously, he left that game to start. He needs to get Tommy John. That's a big blow. Obviously, the emergence of King, 12 strikeouts in game one, just absolutely dominated that Braves lineup. So that yeah, the Padres are they're a fun team to watch. They're going to be a tough out. Tatis back in the playoffs, first swing, the whole 2-run homer to get that place rock in Petco Park is an awesome atmosphere in the playoffs. And I know we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but that Padres and Dodgers series is going to be a doozy.
All right, and let's get to it. The last series of the wild card, which was kind of surprisingly the best one, the only one to go to three games. The Mets and the Brewers. And game one, the Mets took care of business. Game two, Jackson Churio, two home runs lead the Brewers to a win. And in game three, it was looking bleak for these Mets. Brewers have having Devin Williams come in to end the Mets season. And here comes Pete Alonso and maybe what his last at bat as a Mets um, player would be, and he goes yard, 3-run go ahead homer.
Yeah.
Um, Absolutely electric. Devin Williams given up one home run prior to that, an entire season. Um, just wow, just what a moment, what a playoff moment. This Mets team is another. There's a lot of hot teams right now, which is I think very interesting. Sometimes when you get to the playoffs, it's just they were good the entire year. Nobody's really rolling into the playoffs. There's a team or two, but it feels like you can look at this across the board. You got the Padres rolling right now. You have Detroit rolling. You have the Mets rolling. Prior to them, taking the week off, you have the Dodgers rolling. So um, there was a lot of teams with momentum getting up to this point, and just an electric game three, perfect to start the rest of the playoffs off. And yeah, I thought that was a great game yesterday.
Yeah, that's the Mets radio. I think his last name is Howe. I forget his first name, but that was absolutely an electric call. Yeah, he was right. Swing of Pete Alonso's life right now. Mets fans, it's been kind of a love-hate relationship with Pete Alonso over the years, and what a way to endear yourself to the franchise by kind of saving your team season. Um, awesome, awesome hit by him. The Mets are kind of remind me of what the Tigers are doing right now. They're a scrappy bunch. They've had to have some performances. Quintana pitched into the sixth inning yesterday in an elimination game. That kind of came out of nowhere for me. And yeah, the Mets are hot right now, and yeah, it's fun to watch.
All right. Well, let's go around the horn again. Back to the American League. Let's get into this DS. Let's start with Detroit taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Guardians obviously won their division, second best seed in the American League, so they didn't have to play the wild card series.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're going to be facing a division rival and the Tigers. Tigers sneak in at the last second. And here we are. I mean, man, the Guardians have been consistent all year. Obviously, they have Emmanuel Clase in the back end. They'll have Bybee going game one. Tarek Skubal set up to go game two.
Yep.
If we'll make our picks here in a second. I'm more concerned about the Guardians starting pitching more than anything in this series.
Yep.
I would lean the Guardians' way offensively here.
Mhm.
But Tariq Skubal just won the Triple Crown for a pitcher. It's going to easily be the Cy Young. Uh, and he's going potentially twice in the series. So can they do it on all the games he doesn't pitch? I'm unsure of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be the one thing to point out is they didn't use Reese Olson or Casey Mize in the two wildcard games. So those two arms are fresh for them if they need a starter to go in this one. It's gonna be a bullpen in game one and Tariq Skubal in game two. So man, if they can win the first game, Detroit is in a really good spot going on for two games. But I'm gonna take Detroit in this game, in this series, pardon me. I am gonna take Detroit. I think the offense is just rolling right now, and the fact that it's just kind of been next man up on the bullpen, and AJ Hinch is a great manager too. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the Tigers.
I'm leaning towards the Guardians here. But if Detroit wins game one, they're going to win the series. That's
Yep,
how I truly feel.
yep,
But I am going to lean towards the Guards here. They've been the more consistent team all year. Um, what's the season series? It's pretty tight, isn't it?
yeah. Cleveland went 7-6 against them, so it's been pretty even throughout the year.
Yeah. I think the Guardians just do a little bit better job offensively. Obviously they came up with that big hit against the Astros, but this isn't a team that's going to outslug you. So if the
Nope.
Guardians can take care of business in the batter's box, I think that they are the better team on paper. They have the better bullpen, and I think that's where they'll win their games. So I'm going to go with the Guardians.
Yep.
All right. Next up, we have the Kansas City Royals taking on the New York Yankees. Before we get into that, we forgot to mention there's three AL Central teams left.
Yeah. Who
Maybe the
had that
White
on their
Sox
bingo
didn't
card?
suck. Maybe they were playing the best teams in baseball, or maybe both. Who
Yeah,
knows?
maybe both.
Um, with that said, before we get into anything, there has never been a playoff picture in my mind that I
Hmm.
can remember that shows a easier path than this one for the New York Yankees to get to the World Series. And if they do not,
It's embarrassing. It is. It's embarrassing. If they don't go to the World Series, it is a failure of a season. I don't care what you say. Oh, they won the division, yada yada yada. Perfect. That's fine. If you can't, these three teams, this is like a dream for the Yankees right now. They don't have to go through the Orioles, right? And no disrespect against KC, but they're not the Baltimore Orioles, even though they just beat them. Like that would have like it's a the Guardians would be a tough out if they play the Yankees, but man, three Central teams, that's a dream scenario for the Yankees.
no Astros. We
No
have owned them.
Astros. Yep.
They're already out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into this series. They are going to have Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon going game one and game two. Cole Reagan's in game one, and I believe Seth Lugo game two.
Most likely game two. Doesn't say that right now, but that's probably the projected starter. Yeah.
Okay. The Yankees have handled the Royals for the most part this year, won four of six games. They've beat Cole Reagan's twice during that time. Yes, it is the regular season, but something that really stood out to me is they put up a lot of runs against this Kansas City pitching staff. Three
At Camden
games,
Yards too.
Kaufman.
Or Kaufman, sorry. Kaufman, my
Yeah.
bad. Yep.
But three times they put up 8+ runs in a game against this pitching staff. Um, so that does kind of scare me away from taking Kansas City. Also, Kansas City didn't swing it very well against Corbin Burns and Zach Eflin. Now they're going to go against Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon. That doesn't really intrigue me there. So, yeah, I am going to go with the Yankees in this series. Um, but I am excited to watch Kansas City in this one.
Yeah, I am going to go with the Yankees as well. But it's probably outside of that Mets Phillies series that we're going to get to in a sec, probably the best pitching matchups for both sides, right? Ragans and Cole and going into the same series. So the Yankees are just going to be too much to overcome. Judge and Soto and Stanton and the beat goes on for those guys. But if Bobby Witt decides to take over a series, that's going to be the only chance that the Royals have. And if they pitch well, they got to have timely hits from guys like Bobby Witt. Getting Vinny Pasquantino back is a big get for them, even though he's still. I was reading, he's still got plates and screws in his thumb still, but he's he's back.
Yep. All right. Next up, let's go to the National League. We have the Dodgers taking on the Padres. Obviously, this series has some history. The Padres actually have taken care of business against the Dodgers this year, knocked them out of the playoffs multiple times.
Hmm.
I guess not multiple times last year. And this is going to be one of those series that kind of shapes the West going forward, I believe.
Hmm.
Um, but it's Shohei Ohtani's first time in the playoffs, which is
Yes.
everybody's looking forward to. So, yeah, I without going too in depth because I feel like this is going to be one of the best series. Man, the Padres are hot. Freddie Freeman dealing with that ankle. I want to go to the Padres. I'm feeling the Padres. My gut says Padres. My head says I'm going with the Dodgers.
Oh,
I
you're gonna
think
go the Dodgers. Okay, I'm gonna
it
take the Padres. I'm gonna
it
take the
all has to do with
Padres.
Yamamoto. How does Yamamoto throw?
Yep.
He's pitching tomorrow, so in game one, it all comes down. I like the Padres pitching a little bit better right now.
Yep.
Cease, Darvish,
And
and
King.
King, even without Musgrove. Dodgers starting pitching's been banged up, but their offense is just it's electric, and this should be probably the best series out of all of them.
Yep. It's you got Cease, Darvish, King, and that nasty three-headed monster in the bullpen. Um, I know the regular season doesn't mean shit when it comes to the playoffs, but the Dodgers did lose 8 times to their 5 wins. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. The Dodgers did win the last series these two teams played, but yeah, I'm with you on Yamamoto. It's definitely going to be interesting. Obviously, it's going to be awesome to see Otani make his playoff debut. I expect him to do what he's been doing all year, which is steal bags and hit homers. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Padres.
Yeah, I said that the Padres knocked him out last year. I don't think I'm right about that. It was the D-backs last year,
Yeah,
right?
D-backs, yeah,
Yeah, it was the year before
yeah,
Padres took him out. But
yeah,
nonetheless, there's history here, and this will be a fun one.
yep.
But yeah, let's round it out. It'll be the Mets taking on the Phillies, so we have another division rival series. I think that's cool that we're getting three of those. We don't always get that, so those are special. And
Hmm.
the Mets are rolling against the Phillies, who I think are the team to beat in the National League. They have been the entire year, but they've just been the most healthy. Obviously, Wheeler has done his thing this year. They still have Nola. He can flip a coin between Suarez or Sanchez. Um, yeah, I mean, hats off to the Mets, but the Phillies are winning this series. That's what I feel. So,
Yep.
I think their magic runs out. I'm hoping it's a Phillies versus Dodgers Padres winner there, and we'll see how that shakes out on another day.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Phillies as well. I would love to see Bryce Harper to win a World Series. That would be awesome. You got the Wheeler connection there. He used to play for the Mets, right? Obviously, there's probably some bad blood there from how that played out in free agency. Um, yeah, this should be a good series. But the edge definitely goes to Phillies. One more before we wrap up here. You're a California kid. What is this what is this series going to mean in California? Like what's the who are most people rooting for?
Oh man, it's a loaded question. The Dodgers fan base obviously has grown tremendously over the last 10 years
Yeah.
when they got a new owner, obviously Magic Johnson's ownership group.
Mhm.
They've gone to the playoffs consistently, haven't missed one in what, 12 seasons. So it depends who you ask. Obviously, you got the Giants up north. Those guys probably want to see the Padres win, but these are both their division rivals.
Yeah.
If you're an Angels fan, dependent on if you're a Dodgers hater, if you're just, a realistic person saying that the Dodgers and Angels play each other 6 games a year and who cares what the Dodgers do,
Yeah.
you might be going for the Padres. Or you're an Angels fan that loves Ohtani and
Right.
you're going, I want to see the Dodgers beat the Padres because we want to see Ohtani go to the World Series. So that is a loaded question.
Yeah.
It's really dependent on who you ask, but good question there.
Yeah.
For me, I'm not a Dodgers hater, even being an Angels fan. I do want to see Ohtani succeed, but I'm not a Padres hater either. I want to see the Padres uh, battle their ass off here too. I'm fine with either one
Yeah.
as long as the Phillies play the play the winner of this. I do not want to see the Mets play the winner of this. I'm
You don't
sorry,
want to
Mets
see Pete
fans.
Alonso, man?
I'm sorry. This is what I want before we get out of here. I want Judge versus Ohtani, Judge versus Harper, or
Mhm.
Judge versus the Padres
Yeah.
in the World Series. Any of those World Series, Yankees and Philly, Yankees and San Diego, Yankees and Dodgers. Any of those World Series would do numbers. I think it would be great for the league. No offense to any of the other teams. That's where I'm at right now. We're due. We're due for a big one.
Yep. Yeah. After last year's World Series, we're due for a big one here, I think. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you guys for watching and listening. As always, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.